Welcome to Creating the Muse podcast, brought to you by Into Pages. This is a space where creativity takes center stage and entrepreneurship becomes an art form. Join us as we dive into the stories of visionary individuals who have harnessed their inner muse to build thriving businesses and craft lives of passion and purpose. Welcome to another episode of Creating the Muse. I'm your host, Indiana Holly, and today we had the pleasure of interviewing the very lovely Alyona Iljuhhina. Is that correct?
Iljuhhina, yes.
Beautiful. A clinical nutritionist, a pharmacist, and wellness expert with over 14 years of experience in pharmaceutical sciences and clinical research. Alyona is passionate advocate for women's health and vibrant living, known for her Femme Sync program, which empowers women to lie with their natural cycles, and the creator of Capsule Eating, an approach to balanced nutrition. As Creating the Muse magazine's very own resident wellness expert, Alyona shares her insights and practical advice on achieving balance and vitality. Today, we'll explore Alyona's journey, her programs, her experiences, uncover how these elements shape her philosophy of vibrant living. Welcome to the podcast, Alyona. Woo!
Guys, Indiana, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so honored to sit in front of you and just have this conversation.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It feels like it's been long overdue. Like, I think I've been from the moment, I cannot believe it's been a year. There was a post that you did where you had your first ever um, article that you did for the magazine. And I was like, how divinely timing is that? Like, it's been over a year since you and I have known each other. And then to have that nice milestone and then for it to land when your cover feature is out, like, no accidents in the universe, is there?
I still cannot believe that's happening,
I
but
know, I know. And I know when I did your intro, I called you an expert. And I know that you don't like using that, but 14 years, come on, you're an expert.
uh, it's just me. I'm always think everybody is their own expert in their own world. I'm just a
Yeah.
guide. I'm just like trying to unlock their expert and unique potential in everyone. So
Oh,
that's why.
and such a beautiful guy. Like I think from the first moment when we were in the container together with Lara and Necessity, and all I just thought was how aligned it was when I heard about your background and your avid love of food and just witnessing how you really embody and live your truth and the joy that you implement in your life. Like you definitely walk the talk. So I definitely want to uncover and dive into all of that. So let's get started. I guess where I want to start is your journey of inspiration. So your parents are both gynecologists, correct? I love
They are.
amazing. So this is clearly where you being a women's advocate for health and vitality stemmed from. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of funny how I tell everyone how my both parents are gynecologists, but that certainly is something that imprinted women's health in my DNA.
Oh, I
It's
love
the
that.
conversations that we had over dinner table. It was, well, how was your day and what the weather is, but basically it was about pregnancy and the hormones and fertility and contraception. So it was part of my natural habitat from the very beginning. So yeah, I think it was the driving force for everything in the beginning.
Isn't that incredible? And it's that whole uncovering, like that's such a different approach to how society approaches things. Like those conversations are usually taboo or there's shame or attached to it. And you're just at the dinner table having these conversations as it should be, as these are normal conversations to have with everybody because we are nature. Our body is nature. What we do is nature. So yeah, far out. And I guess where I want to go with that is where you've been with your what's your handle called? Your Instagram?
Definitely DNA.
Yeah, so how did you go from being very clinical focus and being a pharmacist and then having this insight to I guess it's your creative side, isn't it? and just enjoying, because food is craft. Like you and I both share that passion. It's like you love creating food. It's your food is beautiful and so inspiring to witness. So tell me about the journey of how food came very big part of your wellness messaging.
Yeah, that's such a good question, and I think you've mentioned correctly. I'm such a scientific person, but I literally thrive somewhere in between this, science, intuition, magic, creativity,
Oh,
and
I love
everything
that.
in between.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes very challenging to navigate these worlds because they're so different. But where I started is generally, I being in a family of two doctors, I kind of just navigated towards medicine at first and like studied pharmacy and clinical nutrition just because I realized the pharmacy was not enough. Like, there's a little bit more need to holistic approach. There's not just treating the diseases. We want to look at the holistic approach and preventing diseases and also just like living the holistic great way of life and embracing wellness from the beginning, not where things go sideways. So, and I think with that, I kind of started looking into food. When I was living in Dublin, I started like cooking all the foods all the time with my housemates, and it's them who really encouraged me to really start the
Oh,
Instagram. And I
I
was like,
love that. Thank you, friends and roomies.
yes, I think it was one of the biggest moments actually. And I remember I started and I was like, who's gonna be reading that? And for a long time, I never showed my face in it because I was like, oh, I don't want anyone to know that that's me. I'm just gonna share my recipes. And I mean, I still keep all the first ones. They look horrendous, but I remember embracing this, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna start now and we'll see where it leads. And that truly kind of opened so many opportunities for me, like inviting to the magazines and like doing some like events, even hosting some master classes back in Dublin on oysters at the Taste of Dublin. It
Wow.
was just
Yes.
something really mind blowing. Um, and I guess also like looking just back now, recently I started thinking, well, how did food actually came to, my world? But then realizing when I was growing up in Estonia, in post-Soviet Union Estonia, and I was always spending summers with my grandparents back in Russia. And my most vivid memories were about food. I remember one of my grandfathers, he taught me how to fish. And then we
Love
would just
that.
use this approach from what is it?
Nose
From
to tail. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nose to tail. And they were teaching me how to use literally and embrace every little piece of fish or chicken or any, animal to eat so we don't waste food, so and how
Mm.
to really cook all these amazing things from ingredients that nobody's using. And it's very interesting to see now how in Australia it's all evolving.
Finally. Yeah.
And right, like one of the best restaurants in Australia, I'm afraid to say it's Australia, but Sydney is Josh's Nyland fish butchery. Oh, sorry, what's it called? St. Peter, where he really embraces this nose to tail approach
I
and
love
he
that.
highlights that. And it's just so meaningful to me because I just remember, sitting with my grandfather on a balcony and, are surrounded with this dried salted fish. And he
Oh,
would
it's
just
so
start
cool.
drying like a fish swim bladder to like a crispy treat and going, do you know what? You
Wow.
could try it. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna try it. And then it was the most delicious thing ever. And it just imprinted in me. And I just remember it was just like so vividly. And I was like, that's so interesting. It's so creative. How could he didn't how he thought about it. And
Yeah.
yeah, and like my grandmother used to cook like the best like chicken liver patties, and she used to make the best kvass, which is fermented bread drink, kefir on her own.
Yeah,
All these fermented
yeah.
foods that now are like the biggest, the most
Yeah.
spectacular thing in Australia and around
Yeah.
the world. Bone broth was my kind of to
Your
go meal all the
staple.
time.
Yeah.
And I think it was just throughout this whole time, like all the way from my childhood. My other grandma, grandfather was making honey, and I was just completely fascinated of this process. And like my parents couldn't even take me away back from there. I just wanted to stay and embrace all this, like spending summers with my grandparents. I think this is all how it stemmed, but I never even thought about it before.
Or the
Actually,
value
even
in it.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
you took it for granted. I was very much the same. It's what's been handed down to you traditionally, like the same as you being taught how to fish, how to prepare the fish, how to scale, how to gut the fish, how to make your own bread, and I guess as a young, you just take it for granted. But when you see that across the norm, those skills are not very utilized. And especially with how you're talking about nose to tail and the whole concept. I mean, if you look back at tribes before the concept of it was the muscle meats that were in our shops and everything, but before that, it was the prized organs went to, the people of authority because that had the most nutrient dense components for your body as opposed to what we have in shops now, which is just the muscle meat and it's not the liver and the organs. And so, yeah, so, and it's part of our culture. It's gone now. It's kind of like, but I love, like you said, it's coming back to now. And you and I already know how to do those things because we were taught that
Yes,
skill that's not no longer, and it's a novelty for people now. And you and I are just like,
it
meh.
is. Exactly. And that's what I find really fascinating now. It is a novelty, and it's almost like a little bit of a shame in kind of looking at this, organ meats or, all these bits of animal that nobody eats or bits of fish that nobody eats. I still go to fish butchery and I go, I'm gonna have some fish heads, I'm gonna have some this and this. And then all these guys are looking at me going, what are you, girl, gonna be doing with them? And I just start talking about my recipes and what I'm gonna
Oh,
cook with
I
them and
love
all the
that.
challenge, all the benefits that they have within them, all the collagen and things like that. I fully embrace that, and I actually tell my clients to do the same because they're just so nutritionally dense, and they're also most of the times the most cheap parts that you can buy, and can cook them in the most amazing, beautiful ways. Yeah.
And this whole concept, like looking after yourself is so expensive, but you can go and get a whole heap of chicken legs. I know, like again, taboo, gross, right? People are like, ew, when I say that. But you boil that up and you put that into a broth. The amount of collagen, like collagen's such a buzz thing right now as well. Um, it's just, and you don't have to pay a fortune. You can, it's just about having that knowledge and sourcing it. So I'm so with you on that. I love that you go out and get a whole bunch of fish soup head. Because do you make soup with it? Is that why?
Egg soup, and I eat everything around the egg, around the head. And the funny thing is that we went to Japan just recently with my one of my best friends, and then we went to one of the izakayas, and I saw a fish head on the menu, and I just, you always have to be really careful with people how they perceive these things. And I was, Yula, do you like fish heads? Do you mind if we order that? She's like, oh my God, I love it. I'm like,
Oh,
yes. And we were like two Russian girls embracing, like
oh,
all
that she's clearly your
loved it.
people.
Yes.
And I wanted to touch on that trip, but before we do that, is the whole concept, like I know for a fact that oysters and nutrition is huge. It's one of your key messaging, like the importance of eating that. And I guess that falls into two categories, doesn't it? It's like the ooh concept of like how could you eat that versus like more of the high end food that you will eat. But
Mm.
you coming at it from a point of view like the amount of zinc, and I think one of the articles that you did for the magazine, you listed just how valuable oysters are. So, do you want to talk us through that a bit more and
Yes.
why that is such an important aspect of your key messaging?
Yeah, it's interesting how oysters really came into my life because I'm coming from Soviet Union. I was lucky when my father would come from conference and bring two bananas and I would be happy with life. And then somehow
Love
now I'm
that.
just embracing this beautiful, sophisticated food, which truly was a food for poor people before, like ages and ages ago. and just also because of this nutrient density. And it's just like from women's health perspective, all you need is zinc and iron and good
Mm.
quality protein. And oysters, like I've read some studies, oyster protein is actually very close to kind of gold standard protein, which is like egg white. And it's
Wow.
just it has so much nutrients in comparison to the calories that you have. So I have some friends going out for dinners with me and would buy some oysters, and they don't really like them. But some of the girls would go, I'll just have them because I know you always talk about it, how nutritious they are.
I
So I
love
might
that.
just as well have two. That's fine. And it's just,
To
I don't
keep you
know.
happy because I know it's
Yes.
good for them.
And it just became part of me everywhere because as I said, like back in Dublin, there was a really great friend of mine, Simon Lamont, who has a beautiful oyster business back in London. And I remember once at Taste of Dublin, we were talking about oysters and how like I was really passionate about like, health benefits and nutritional profile
Yeah.
around them. And he said, you know what, tomorrow you're coming with me and we're gonna co-host like a master class with them
I
together.
love
And
that.
I thought he was joking. And I was passing by during his master class, and he goes, "You come on up on stage." And we just had
Ah,
this beautiful like, impromptu master class. And I had loads of women around me talking about all the nutritional benefits of oysters. And we were shucking them and drinking
wow. Oh
champagne.
my
And
God, how
it's just so
divine.
incredible. Yeah, it was awesome. So I don't know, since then, it just like continuously staying with me, this like oysters and everywhere I go, like we host dinners with my friends, we do like chef's table now and then. And it's almost they always know like the starter, I'm gonna take care of the oysters in one way
It's
or
your
the other.
it's your signature, it's the hero recipe, right?
Yeah, everyone healthy, happy, drinking champagne
Ah,
and eating oysters. That's just
I
me.
think that's life. I could live just on that. I know you'd probably say no, but can we?
Oh, absolutely. We're still yet to have that catch up and have
I
the
think
oysters and champagne at
so.
my place. Yeah.
Our own seasonal feast, and I'll be definitely one. You won't have to convince me to talk about oysters or eat them either. I think with me, it's funny. It's like I used to think I hated the seafood quite a lot until I experimented with recipes and then realized it was just how it was given to me. It's if it wasn't prepared properly. So, and I think that's the important aspect is preparing it where you source it from so that it can taste amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, and how it's presented is a big part as well. So, and um, all the recipes that you have on social media always look so beautiful. And I
Thank
hope
you.
that you step into that more, that role, and really embody that because you have such a world of influence and expertise. Like I know how much you love that word.
Thank you. Thank you, Indiana.
So I guess where we could touch on is let's delve into like I know you did a lot of oyster exploration in Tassie. And then you just recently came back from Japan. So travel is clearly a massive value for you. Is that correct? That's something that because you generally go once a year, if not more, to be honest, or
Yeah, it absolutely is one of my values, and it actually it's something that brings me into my zone of this creativity. Every time I'm coming back, I start recreating all the recipes from the country I just came back from, and
oh,
it's almost like this booster for me. And I should do it more. I feel like recently with, corporate career and trying to build a business, like I haven't been doing it that much, but Japan, like it reminded me how much I'm in love with traveling. And
mm,
I think Japan is that particular country that made a very significant impact on me. Like it's just for me, it was really interesting to see that balance. It's such an innovative country, so future focused, and
mm,
it has also this beautiful balance with deeply rooted traditions and the history, all the shrines, the temples, everywhere in between, the food of like high-end restaurants, and also the fish market when they're, doing all the things that I love. That's my Disneyland. And it was just so beautiful. And especially, what really stood out for me when we went around like little outskirts of Tokyo, or this little towns like Kyoto and then Hakone. I've met all these people that, the concept of ikigai,
Yes,
that
yes.
what you love, what you passionate
Your
about,
purpose, your bliss. Yeah.
where what is it, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. And I
Love that.
fully like felt that concept in these little places where we met people, and they were just so incredibly passionate about their craft. I don't want to say business because, yes, it is kind of business, this the little tiny boat on the side of the river when, it's a family that, a father like brings in customers, mom like goes around and sits everyone at the table and greets everyone. Two
I
little
love
boys are
that.
grilling calamari on the side of the river. And you can see that in their faces, in the way how they talk about where they are, what they're doing, and communication with their customers. It shines through them. Like we went to one of the places, it was like a little shop, and this little old man was talking about his craft of reusing old kimono fabrics into
Wow.
various things, and he was making like little
Wow.
wallets and little scarves and little, so just like a little book holders, and it's just, it wasn't like selling something to us. He literally brought us two chairs, sat us down,
Oh,
and he was just telling his story. And it was just so beautiful. And I felt, oh my gosh, this is what's my ikigai? I really need to start thinking about it more. And it was just like a very big driver for me to kind of reconnect with my identity and really like discover more of what I can bring to the world, how more I can be more like my true authentic self, and embrace all these like challenges that I had in between in my life, and share it with people as much as like people shared like in Japan. It was just like this beautiful moment. And yeah, it was transformative trip to say the least.
I bet. And I think because you're in such a busy city as well, so you'd be able to see the concept quite clearly about what we do in how we operate in Western society versus, and I think Japan, I think it was Okinawa was one of the blue zone
Yeah.
um, countries that was the philosophy is they live in life for longevity and to live way past not just live over to 100, but with a quality of life as well. And what I'm hearing is they're not trying to sell you anything. They just want to share in their storytelling with you. They want to share their love for what they do. And that whole ikigai thing is like finding your purpose and doing that with so much conviction and love. And having you witness that, as I'm aware, from such a transformative moment in your life, which is probably when you need it. So there are no mistakes. Um, but yeah, it's having that awareness, it kind of makes you step outside of the bubble that you would have been living in before that and the stresses and really put life into perspective. So I guess my next question to you is moving forward, how has that influenced you and how are you going to take inspired action? What has been your next steps?
Oh gosh, you almost
Big
made me
question.
cry now. I'm sorry, I froze.
Well, I guess to give some context, like if you're happy to share in that, you've had that a moment in life where I guess you can call it a tower moment, like your whole life just changes. And it's scary when it changes. It's like that chaoticness of it. And then to go there and witness it, it sounds like the medicine that you really needed. So being mindful and having that spaciousness, and there in Japan with people that are doing what you aspire to do. So I guess now that you've come back, how have you implemented that in your life?
Oh, like yeah, so having a transformative period of my life is, yeah, to say nothing about this period. And more you talk about it, more it kind of It's a incredibly exciting time, and I what from all of this, let's say, transformative experience, I realized how like that all our life is it's the challenges and opportunities, and everything that happens for a reason, and it's all about the way how we perceive it and how we decide to build upon that, what lessons to learn, and I think during this transitional time and like seeing all of that, what I've seen in Japan, coming back and really thinking, what am I doing with my life? What am I going? I think one very profound thing that came to me is that I have been compartmentalizing myself way too much. I was,
Interesting.
yeah, I was this,
Wow. Like,
corporate, yeah.
you mean like pigeonholing you? This is who you are, this is what you do, kind of. Is that it? Yeah. Okay, let's
Kind of,
explore
yeah.
that. That's fascinating.
I think I had like this two sides of me like throughout my life. And one was this corporate diva that
I
wanted
love that.
to
Yeah.
achieve things. I'm like a high achiever, I'm a perfectionist. I think it's like something that comes from the DNA of a person who grew up in Soviet Union. You just like work really hard. You need to achieve, you need to show that this is how you're climbing this corporate ladder. And I think maybe I'm more like westernized, Europeanized kind of Russian woman. Like I thrive in career development and personal development as well. So, and I think for me that was the where I shined, and I also have prioritized that amongst a lot of different other things. But then, I realized that there's also a part of me that absolutely loves food, wellness, and nutrition and self-care, hello, and just like this beautiful vibrant life. I love my friends. I have an army of the most incredible supporting people in my life, and I just realized that I just put this career first, and I've been really focused on that. And that's also because I absolutely love what I do for a corporate job, like
Mm.
working as a proposal manager and a clinical research. There's so many incredible things that you learn every day. So for me, that's another fascinating topic. But I felt like that whole wellness thing, it's just gonna sit there in this treasure chest box that I'm just gonna be keeping this for myself, and like for only people who know me very well, they only
Yeah.
get to experience that like passion and joy of things that I do this. And even with my clients, it was very selective. I wasn't really advertising that much that I'm doing that because time constraints, and I also prioritize my career or over that. And when I saw like that, like in Japan, and so like how things can be intertwined and
Mm.
balanced in between, and I think that's why I mentioned like having a very future focused, very innovative technology kind of country balanced with this joy of
Oh,
living, and this
gosh.
old traditions, and people love what they're doing. I felt, well, I mean, why aren't I doing that? And the more I embraced it, and it's a very interesting story how it was very clear to me that happened because I went to one of the networking events, and I met one of the very interesting people. I connected with him in so many great ways and levels, and we, decided we need to catch up later. But I realized that the most things I talk about is not just the corporate job that I have,
Mm.
but also how wellness really enhances that, and also my passion about food, and how I literally cohesively put myself together as one like big thing, combining all of these elements together.
Mm.
And I came back home, looked at my LinkedIn profile, and I just realized, oh my gosh, I
Oof.
sound like a robot here. Like
Oof.
if you went to read who am I, he's like, this is the two different people that I
It's
met.
not who you are. Yeah.
And since then, I think that was the last final drop that I was like, okay, I need to fully embrace that. And now it's all about combining this, and I love like coaching. It's actually opened up so many doors, and made me realize so many things. And I now like use it in my corporate role, and even just some tips and tricks from the coaching clients and coaching psychology that I use improved my relationships and improved my work with the colleagues. And now stepping into like something new, I
Exciting.
truly want to combine that. I want to, show my whole self and just really just embrace all my identity. And I think that was one of the biggest challenges for me, like really, finally combining these two and embracing my whole self rather than just being, this is where I'm here for work, and that's where I'm here for,
Yeah.
wellness. And that
Yeah.
wellness, I'm gonna hide that away for now. And whenever I'm ready, I'm gonna be perfect. I'm gonna be amazing. It's all gonna be fixed. I'm gonna figure it all out. Then I'll share it. No, that's not way to go. And I'm just,
Oh my God, you made me want to cry, like just hearing you, because it is. I'm the same as you. It's been very black and white, all or nothing. It's like either I'm very driven by, I love science, I love biotech, I love, and I guess that's why it's influenced when it comes to fermentation, because that's a bit of the sciencey side, which is really cool. And then, but I guess 90% of my energy was going towards that. And then it's like you kind of, dabble every now and then on the other side of the creativity aspect and not putting so much energy into that. So when you were talking about that, I was like, oh my God, you're talking about me. And I'm
that's so
tearing
funny.
up because I'm like, and it is, it's an integrated approach. It's like you can have both molded together and amazingly, like the whole concept, you've got, healthcare and stuff like that, but it's the preventative stuff that stops you from getting to that end where
Yes.
what is the step to a couple of steps before that so that you don't have to worry about um needing clinical interventions and stuff like that. So it's like taking a step back, which is what you were talking about with your how you grew up with your granddad and what he taught you. It's the same thing. It's taking that step back, just a few more
Yes.
steps, and not throwing the baby out with the bathwater sort of thing, because that is valuable gold. So,
Yeah.
oh, far out.
It's
What?
And it's another thing that's interesting that once you embrace this and once you really start showing it, what I've noticed is it actually opens more opportunities. The world kind of almost kind of goes, oh, here's another person for you, and here's another person for you, and here's another
Wow.
interesting project or another challenge for you that you can work on or you can
Yeah.
do. I had a conversation with my friend yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to this networking event, and then I'm going to this like event and doing this." She's like, "Where is this all coming from? Like
Where
where are
was
you
it
finding these
before?
things?"
Yeah,
I
because
was
you
like,
could
"I
space.
yeah," I literally thought it's just because I finally really embraced what I truly want, what I
Oh,
truly love, and I'm like sort of claiming it. And and our world, it's always co-creating with the universe. Once you believe and understand what you truly want, it kind of like aligns. I really
conspires
believe
to
in
meet.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is so true when they say, like, I know I've always said energy goes where any energy flows, right? But if it's 90% over here, how do you expect any of this beautiful, flourishing stuff to come about if that all your energy is going to it? So having that spaciousness and making that space. So it sounds like your tower moment was like the universe stepped in and said, whoa, whoa, whoa. So if you're not going to take care of this, I'm going to take care of this for you so that you can focus over here.
Absolutely. And I could have been like, oh my God, what am I going to do with life?
Yeah, yeah.
Or going, well, thank you for that. I am going to embrace what the next chapter is. And I truly believe that, whatever challenges we face, like, let's just put it out there, like a relationship ending, the job didn't work out, it didn't get
Yeah,
through the
yeah.
interview, a redundancy, whatever that might be, it's like a stepping stone. And how do you really perceive that? It's opening door to something else. And this or something better. And I'm truly
Mm.
believing in that. It's when something is happening, well, if it didn't happen, well, that's probably something
There's
better on
something
the
way
way.
better on the other side.
Yes. Oh,
Oh,
100%.
such an inspiration, Alyona. Like, I'm just so in love with witnessing what is unfolding for you and you really stepping into this, embodying it. So, well, I guess where I want to go from there is really talk about your Femme Sync program because you being the cover November, December, end of year of Creating the Muse, and your theme being rhythms and cycles, which I feel like this is
Mm.
just so perfect about that. So, can we talk about FemSync and what that looks like in terms of rhythms and cycles?
Yeah, I think so. This is like my signature program, and I created it with a feminine mastery coach, which is incredible. It's just like something that I've been missing for sure with my ambitious and super achieving self.
Driven and yeah, putting your
Yeah,
masculine energy on and forgetting about the feminine. Yeah.
yes, 100%. So it's really a program that's like full immersive experience into really looking what like how to balance your hormones, how to live in sync with your natural rhythms. And then Bethany is just really incredibly leading you as well through the psychology of change and
Wow.
how this rhythms can help you, be more productive at work and how to balance your feminine and masculine and how to really embrace your body and work with your hormones, not like against them. And
Mm.
that's a full, like, there is like a full recipe guide that I created. And I absolutely love these recipes. This is something that I like eat and create every day. It just guides you through exactly what hormones are. It talks about like even how to navigate conversations with doctors and just really
Wow.
advocate for yourself.
I love that.
Yeah, there's so much information that's like, but it's in a very beautifully structured way. There's not like,
It's
it,
not
it,
overly clinical in any way. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I
It's easy to
literally,
follow, and it's beautiful to follow because I remember seeing I had the fortunate opportunity. I can't remember what it was, but getting to the master class that you did,
masterclass.
and
Yeah.
how beautiful it was. Like you aligned everything beautifully to the seasons of nature, and it was just so wonderful to be able to take him through that whole process, but with the lens of it being your internal bloom sort of thing. So yeah,
Mm,
and how you bloom and you go into your winter and you go into your autumn and your spring and going through the what do you call it? The from your
inner se
cycles. Yeah,
inner seasons.
innocent. I love that. Yes.
Yes, yes. And it's actually been absolutely transformative. I mean, I've been researching this for quite some time, like cycle
Mm,
syncing in particular, probably like over 3 years or something. And when I really started embracing this, and with help with Bethany, actually, like feminine masculine is like plays a huge role in that. But also like looking throughout your month, like I am so aligned with my body. I can truly like understand what my body needs, what it wants, and that's what I try to share and break down in
gosh.
the course, kind of retranslating science into very practical steps. There's also like a workbook that helps you reflect, takes you through all the steps, and it gives you like all the snapshots of all the information that we share in the videos. And I mean, I've been working with that for quite some time, and it's been so just transformative for my life as well because spring is when we start things, we have more energy and we kind of like kick off the projects. Summer is where like, oh my gosh,
Ovulating.
like summer
Yeah.
ovulation, it's
Best
when
time.
you're
Yeah.
the most magnetic. Go to networking
Your
events, go,
pheromones like toot, toot, toot.
yeah, you're like, oh my god,
Look at
I'm
me. I'm
shining.
magnetic. Yeah.
Yes, and you just go to, you ask for that pay rise. You
Oh, I love
go
that.
for that promotion. You build on so many beautiful things around the time. But then again, luteal phase or just before a period, it's like the time for reflection and more kind of like finishing tasks. I know I'm so much more structured during this time because my mind's very creative. I'm like boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah, yeah.
I have so
Ideas
many
popping
different
out
things to do.
everywhere. Yeah.
But during luteal phase, I actually have some time and space, and I'm a little bit more friends with my brain when it actually can be a little bit
Wow.
structured, which is really
Yeah.
great. And just like kind of prioritizing rest during luteal phase and menstrual phase, and
You could be in
how
your
to
sushi
eat.
roll.
Yes,
Yeah.
before that I felt it was weak and it was not okay to prioritize myself for self-care. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, bath time, I'm gonna have a
Ah,
nap and all of these things. And it just made me so much more productive, so much more energized. And it's just like
yeah.
really embracing what your body just asking for and giving to it, and knowing what kind of foods support your hormones in general, and then kind of like a little bits and pieces like throughout the cycle as well. And it's just honestly, it's been pretty great and magical. And even if you go to my Instagram now, you'll find like a little blueprint for hormone health already that you can just read through, and there are a few very simple tips that really look at your health in general. Like, I'm a firm believer, it's not like what you eat in general, it's all about what your body can absorb and
Wow, Alyona.
how to really
Wow.
make your body function the best you can. So it's more about, bringing your body to optimized state, supporting your hormones. And there's that blueprint that you can download for free. And yeah, and in the next year, I'm also going to start like a little cycle syncing challenge to kind of like get
I
you
love
into
it. Sign me
implementation.
up.
Yes.
And I'll definitely be sharing those links in the magazine as well, like the blueprint and whatever valuable information for everybody to find you. But I guess what I want to touch on, you said I'm in sync with my body, and that just blew my mind. And then where I wanted to go with that is society, like, and not recognizing women's cycles and having to push through, you know, what did you call it? The lateral. It was so sorry. See, this is how bad I don't even know when, like when you're in your winter sort of thing, like when you're
Oh,
in
luteal,
luteal, is it?
before your menstruation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and not having the luxury to actually be that sushi roll and sit on the couch and eat dark chocolate. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
um, I guess my question to you is your comment about being in sync with your body, like how, like that's such a foreign thing to hear for me. So can you talk through how is that the movement side of thing? Is that knowing what to eat, when to eat? Like, I guess that's part of your program, but can we
Mm.
touch on that a little bit for those that are experiencing the foreign concept of what being in sync with your body is?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it really starts with these basics, kind of first feeling where you are, understanding. First of all, I guess tracking your cycle, getting one of the apps and looking where you are.
Yeah.
Is it the first day? So the first day is the first day of your menstruation. Then you have the, menstruation for about 5, 8 days. Like, it depends, 3 to 8 days, like depends on everyone. Then you get follicular phase, which is, spring. Then we have
Love
ovulation,
that.
which is summer, that's in the middle, about day 14. And then you have luteal phase that starts after ovulation and just before your period. And when I say that I'm quite aligned with my body and I know how it feels, is because I have been tracking my cycle. I know where I am, and I just feel so in the second part of our cycle, our body energy expenditure actually increases. So we naturally need more energy. We naturally need more calories. And I can feel it in my body. Like, sometimes I can have big breakfast and dinner, but during that phase, I probably won't be able to, because I'm going to want to have some lunch as well during that time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would crave for something that's more, like, normally my breakfasts are, eggs and cottage cheese and avocados and
All the
salmon and
protein.
something like
Yeah.
all the protein, and it's more like savory breakfast. During luteal phase or beginning of menstrual phase, I would be craving something more, sweet, and but
Berries and
yeah,
yeah,
some
yeah.
berries, but also like if I would want a croissant, I know that I'm in luteal or menstrual phase. It's
Your body's
so
like carbs. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. But it's just also how do you
Oh, I lost you, Alyona.
Oh, sorry.
I gotcha. Sorry, I lost you there for a second. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, so in Femme Sync program, we have this recipe guide. So for example, when you want something that's a little bit on the sweeter side, there's recipe of chocolate brownies, but they have, black beans in them, which is like the most like nutritious, like fiber rich, protein rich food that also has magnesium, and then also this dark chocolate that also like increases that magnesium intake during that time, that really helps you relax and balances the moods and
Mm.
hormones. So it really almost like a preventative measure for your PMS, but it also is really tasty and delicious,
And
and
good
it
for
like
you.
comes good for you
Yes.
and
Yeah.
cuts down these kind of cravings that you have. And it's literally just about starting to track it and then understanding your superpowers. Like in the beginning, you're more energetic, you can do a little bit more in the gym, but in the luteal phase, just do more kind of like relaxing yoga practices. Don't push yourself too hard, but still continue exercises. Like, a lot of women say, oh, like we've been told we can't exercise during our period. And yeah, of course, if you're in pain, which is not normal and this should be resolved.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
normally do exercise. Don't do too much, but there's some exercise.
Stretching or,
Yeah, it has
yeah.
shown that it reduces the actual cramps and reduces pain. And so basically just really understanding where your superpower is and how our hormones affect us in terms of cravings and metabolism, and what kind of foods we need to eat to support our body during each phase, and how to even plan work. Like
Mm.
for me, starting new projects or putting something more creative in the first phase, and then to finish something, to go in more detail, finishing up and polishing something, that would be like second phase. So it's like these little things, and we talk about all of that in the course. um yeah, that's
It's
kind of like very
incredible.
quickly in a nutshell.
It's
Yeah.
incredible. And I can tell you that I know, like I remember you talking at the Lara's retreat how much clinical pay, like you said, you had like was it like 40 or 50 pages of clinical data that's gone into um but being able to do that and integrate it with a lens of it being so beautiful, that's that creativity side as well. So people
Mm.
don't need to get terrified and bogged down in the science. You've integrated it so beautifully that people you just want to devour the information. It's just extraordinary stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
kudos to you for that. And I advertise it in the magazine because I was just so blown away by it. So to be able to get into that Femme Sync program, women would be incredibly, yeah, don't miss it. It's extraordinary work. So I commend you for
Oh,
all, because I know how much work went into that, Alyona.
thank you.
Yes.
And we've
So
really tried to make it fun as well. We're talking about
so
all things
fun.
like, but we talk about sex as well and how to really, navigate that with your partner.
I
Talk
love
about your
that.
partner. What kind of things
Yes.
try during each phase? So there's
When you're
so
more
much more.
frisky and when you're
Yes.
not, when you just want to be left alone and want to be a hermit sort of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah. But having that conversation with your partner too, and having in a relationship where you can say that and say, hey, this, and them knowing where you are in your cycle as well is so empowering.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, when to approach him, when not to approach him.
Yeah, how to really just support you during the
Oh,
time
I
when
love
you're
that.
not at your best. Like what to what
Yeah.
to feed you, what kind of
Oh,
hugs to give you, and what's the best time for them to just really come to you
what
and
a
say,
beautiful
well, today that's going to be
speech.
a day of experimentation and fun activities. Let's go
Yes.
to our bedroom.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, and it just speaks of your big heart, like how nurturing you are. So and how fun you are and how joy is such a huge part of everything that you do. So you're definitely a magnet for most people when I just watch how nourished your life is and I can see why people want to learn so much and I'm so glad that you're stepping into this role now. So, because it's so needed on so many levels, especially for women that just, are not in line with their rhythms and cycles. So thank you so much for this.
Oh, it's my
Um,
pleasure.
well, I guess my next question, because I know we're running out of time, I could go on and on, but I want to ask you what's next? Like, where are you going next? You did mention something about you and your girlfriend brainstorming retreats. So can we ex talk a bit about that? Where are you going? No pressure. Putting it out there into the world. Now you have to deliver.
Oh, oh yeah, this is something that has been in discussions, and it's just I think it's very early days, but from the past, I don't know, few years that I've been working in corporate and really understanding how incredible, like incredibly important corporate wellness is, and really finding that time and space to just get away for 1 or 2 days and really reflect on what's going on in your life. And I think it's just that concept of wellness coaching that really gives you that perspective and finding reasons for like deeper reasons of behind the why.
I love
And
that. The five whys. I love that. No
yeah,
hiding. No hiding from that.
absolutely. And I felt the same. Like I just need to get away for 1 or 2 days and just be with a group of, same kind of people with the same values who just really want to align with their purpose. They want to know where their life is heading, just to even have like a little break and recalibrate their vision as like, let's just say that. And and that's where this conversations kind of stemmed from. And I have like a great friend who is a yoga teacher, so we were thinking of maybe joining our forces and
Yes.
creating something
I
like
love
that.
that. It
But
sounds
yeah, it's just like early
incredible.
days, yeah, and we'll see how it goes. Like it's something hopefully we'll be able to bring to next year. But something exciting is just based on from my experience and yeah, like stopping for a minute and
Mm.
really thinking, okay, am I aligned? Am I on the pathway where I need to go? Like, there I had some clients who would come to me and say, oh, like I feel like my cortisol is high and I don't know how to figure out my diet. And it all the things would start from just trying to get coaching on nutrition and health.
Mm.
And in the end, they would come back and say, well, actually, they improved their relationships with their family.
I
They
love
have now
that.
standing dinner, and when they cook all together,
Oh.
they make food all together. So it really connects the people with deep reasons why, when they really have the opportunity to sit down with themselves, or as a coach, to really find their true selves, because that's what makes
Mm.
us happy. That's what brings balance to our lives and empowers us to kind of move forward, live this vibrant, joyful life, and that's all about
Mm.
it. It's
Mm.
not work, work, work. And the other thing about this is, while you're becoming that best self, like I understood that I was much better for all my colleagues, for all my clients, because I would fill my cup first. I would be living aligned with my true self, I would be living more with purpose and really infusing more joy, connections,
Mm.
more wellness into my life. And that is itself, it's a ripple effect to people around me, to my colleagues, being more collaborative and compassionate instead of like reactive. So that's all a way. It's just like a place for nurturing and realigning with yourself, really recalibrating your vision and building this little steps towards that. Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. It's kind of like that giving you permission just to step outside of it, which is kind of what you did in Japan. It's like, feels like just having that space to reassess and have a look at what is it that you really want and is it bringing you joy? So I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see that unfold. So I guess before we go into rapid fire questions, Alyona, can you let listeners know where they can find you and your extraordinary programs? Yeah, but websites, Instagram, you name it.
I think at this point it's mainly just the Instagram at the food DNA. And all there. You can go on the link tree and you can find the direct link to Femme Sync program. There is a blueprint for hormone health. And then in the beginning of the year, I'm going to be starting the challenges just to support everyone with, gut health and just hormone health, cycle syncing, and, just like looking to implement some of the little steps in actionable steps how to make these changes. And yeah.
Incredible. Thank you. All right, you ready for rapid fire?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Hold on. Oh, yes, let's go.
All right, let's do this. Now, for more selfish reasons, I'm such an avid reader, so I always ask this question, even though it's probably the hardest question if you're an avid book reader. But what is your all-time favorite book that has been a significant impact on you?
I think significant impact was probably, and I listened to Lara's episode. She did the same thing, but I'm just gonna still say it. It was Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being
Oh,
Yourself. Um,
incredible book.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I can't stop with one. I can't.
Go
I mean,
on, go on.
okay,
Give me a few.
okay, I'm gonna give you two. So we've mentioned Ikigai. That was quite a profound one
That's
that I read.
the Brookhampton, I think her name.
Uh,
Beth Hampton.
there's
The blue one
uh,
with the beautiful blossoms on white blossoms,
yes,
the bird.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Hector Garcia, I think.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'm getting a mix. Maybe I'm getting the wabi sabi mixed up with the ikigai.
Maybe like also great book by the way. Yes. And anything, like anything Brene Brown, adore her.
Love her.
Um,
Yeah.
Esther Perel, anything from her on,
Incredible.
complexity of relationships and interactions with people. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop there just because.
Yeah, they're great suggestions. Is it? I think I loved Brene Brown's oh, something about the wilderness, braving the wilderness or something. It was just such an extraordinary book. It's like not just showing up as you are, sort of thing. Like,
Yes,
yeah, like I just
my
thought that
favorite
was
was
so
probably,
powerful.
yeah, my favorite probably was Gifts of Imperfections.
Ooh, I haven't read that one.
Oh,
Okay, good
so
stuff. See,
good.
this
And
is why I
look,
asked the question.
yes, and look, for a perfectionist like I am, that was just something incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for the book recommendations. And the best investment that you've ever made for yourself on yourself.
Um, Myself. And
I love that.
I think in the end of the day, it's all about I love to learn new things. I continuously love growing and evolving, in my corporate role and, my personal development. So I guess investing in, a coach, whether that's executive coach or a wellness coach, and I've worked with both and psychologists, that just really skyrocketed my productivity, how I approach things, how, the leadership, the communication, and everything else in between. As Lara, also our
Mhm.
coach says very quickly, very like she just tells that kind of compresses the time of your like personal
Yes.
development and personal growth, because you can learn through your mistakes, and I am absolutely embracing that, all the challenges, all the lessons learned, all the little obstacles that just make us better, and they help us grow and evolve. But when you have a coach that can support you and really kind of also push you a little bit into the crazy, a little bit challenging and more difficult situations, you kind of like have that support to embrace these challenges with more grace, with more, strength and belief in yourself. So it just
Mm.
really reduces the time of, and skyrockets your professional and personal growth, I believe. So, yes,
Which
absolutely.
goes so hand in hand, doesn't it? Like it's incredible. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. And of course, why we're here today. What does creating the muse mean to you, and how has it impacted your artistic expression? Or just what does creating the muse mean to you?
I mean, yeah, and I'm thinking like in terms of creating the muse as like maybe individual and like, throughout like our lives, right? it's probably when we craft our best kind of self and we open
Oof,
up all of these
oof, I love that.
uniqueness and imperfections and embracing
Oh,
these challenges and journey along the way. Like again, like, looking at all our different parts of us and really not hiding away, not shying away, and showing the world, shining what we are, best selves. And again, it's a ripple effect. Once we are at our best selves, and once we are within our true passion, true love, and true identity, it kind of is like a ripple effect. It impacts so many other people around. Like for me, it's the clients and the customers and the colleagues that I work with, my friends, all the closed ones.
mm,
And I think that's how it's kind of creating the muse is kind of what means to me. But it's also, I want to say that your magazine Creating the Muse was been like one of the most significant moments as well. And like
oh, I
something
love
that
that.
really helped me to be this true myself and embrace my muse, let's say, because you gave me this opportunity, that outlet where I can speak so truly about myself and really share my passion and the love of so many beautiful things in your
Mm.
magazine. And it's just always so beautiful. I'm surrounded with so many incredible people. And having you as an editor is just honestly, it's been one of the most significant moments as well in my self-discovery and the
Oh,
muse creation.
I love that so much. You're gonna make me cry again. I just want to say how honored I am. Like I just saw straight away, I was like, this woman and your knowledge, please come and be in the magazine, share all your incredible insights. And I think more so from a selfish reason, like being able to gather that information and have that insights and having that friendship with you as well, and having that access to be able to co-create things together and cheer each other on and just hearing today's conversation as well and giving permission to embrace all aspects and not to shut any of that off and integrate. It's all part of who you are. So I think your answer about what creating the muse is just incredible. So thank you so much. And thank you
No,
so
thank you.
much for saying yes to every single time I said, Alyona, be in the magazine. Alyona, be on the cover.
Oh my gosh, Indiana, it's my greatest honor and pleasure
Oh,
of all time. It means so much to me to be in your world. And you keep inspiring because you have been also showing so much of your true passions. And every time you post something, you talk about something, I was like, huh, I didn't know she does that.
vice
I love
versa.
that too. And I think we're so on the same
And
page and things
aligned.
what we
Yeah, we're
love.
aligned. Yeah, I
I
agree.
absolutely love that. And
It's
I
been a
cannot wait.
beautiful
Maybe one
journey with
day.
you.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll organize some foodie experience together with
I
all
would
our passions.
love that. That's a date, right? Let's manifest that. No, actually, we'll intend that. That'll be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's put it on our list for 2025.
Yes, yes, I love that. Oh, thank you so much again for your time. And I cannot wait to share your issue, Rhythms and Cycles, coming out on the 22nd of December, just before Christmas. So when people have got some downtime and give them the tools that they need to really apply what's important to them during this period as well, which is why I think aligning your issue to November, December is very needed. This medicine is very needed. So thank you again, listeners, and thank you, Alyona.
Oh my God, it's such a pleasure, Indiana. Thank you so much for this opportunity to
My
share kind. Yeah.
absolute pleasure, darling. See ya.